Welcome to this explainer. Look, today we are bypassing all the wild rumors and strictly diving into the meticulously documented anomalies of one very specific and highly unusual piece of land out in northeastern Utah. Yep, Skinwalker Ranch. We're going to break down the timeline, the hard evidence, and the people who actually tried to solve this thing.
So let's kick this off by looking at what happens to the heavy hitters who visit this place. I'm talking about top-tier scientists, ex-military investigators, guys who roll up with hundreds of thousands of dollars in high-tech gear, absolutely certain they're going to logically debunk the whole phenomena. But they don't come back with the neat answers they expected. They come back quieter. Actually, some of them, when pressed on what they saw, just flat out stop talking altogether.
Part 1. The Uinta Basin Enigma.
To really grasp why these highly trained pros fall silent, we first have to ground ourselves in the geography itself. This ranch sits right in the Uinta Basin, about 150 miles east of Salt Lake City. You're driving through high desert with the Uinta Mountains just towering around this massive valley, but what's truly wild is how the sources constantly describe this palpable pressure in the air out there. It's not painful, but it's heavy, kind of like that thick, charged moment right before a massive thunderstorm breaks. It's so intense that animals react to it viscerally. I mean, former owners noted that even their starving, hungry dogs completely refuse to go near the tree line after dark. No amount of coaxing would work.
This modern mystery really builds across three distinct eras of ownership. We've got the Gorman family era kicking off in 1994, then the Bigelow and Nids era starting in 96, right up to the modern adamantium era from 2016 onward.
Part 2. The Gorman Family Era. Our chronological deep dive starts in '94 with the Gormans. They were just a practical family of ranchers from Montana who bought the land for its rich soil. But they inherited this completely bizarre legal clause in the deed. It specifically required that absolutely nothing on the land could be moved, altered, or disturbed. The previous owners had literally left heavy iron chains bolted to the farmhouse doors and steel posts sunk deep into the earth. They demanded the property remain exactly as it was. The Gormans just thought it was some quirky, eccentric thing. Well, they quickly found out it was a desperately necessary precaution. The incidents didn't wait. They started within days of moving in, stacking up these impossible physical anomalies that just completely shattered the Gormans' practical worldview. We're talking cattle mutilated with surgical precision, organs removed with instruments that cauterized the cuts, leaving zero blood and absolutely no tracks in the dirt. Then there was the time their prized bull was somehow found crammed inside a locked, latch trailer that it couldn't possibly have gotten into on its own, and the lights. Floating balls of light moving at impossible physics-defying trajectories. On March 12, 1995, Tom Gorman actually fired a hunting rifle directly at one of these lights. He watched the bullet pass right through it, and the light didn't even react.
But the crucial thing that grounds all these paranormal claims in harsh, everyday reality is this staggering number, 42%. Just imagine losing almost half your entire livelihood to something you can't even see. 42% of the Gorman herd died or vanished into thin air in under 2 years. Pathologists and livestock investigators were brought in, and they found zero disease, no predators, and absolutely no logical cause for this massive agricultural loss.
Part 3. The Billionaire's Investigation.
So that immense loss of livestock is exactly what drew serious, well-funded scientific scrutiny to the basin. Enter the National Institute for Discovery Science, or NIDS, in 1996. Funded by aerospace billionaire Robert Bigelow, because, hey, what else do you buy when you're a billionaire but a notoriously strange ranch, right? They scooped up the property for $200,000. But Bigelow didn't just buy it. He essentially militarized the place. He brought in a full-time security team, top-of-the-line cameras, and advanced sensors. All of this resulted in hundreds of pages of classified and semi-classified reports detailing the phenomena.
And the escalation here is what's truly terrifying. All that advanced equipment didn't stop the events from happening. It just meticulously documented them. They recorded intense poltergeist activity inside the farmhouse where heavy objects were being thrown around or completely destroyed. In one incredibly tense instance, an invisible force actually grabbed a researcher's arm. It left physical marks on the skin, literal bruising in the shape of fingers that took a full week to fade.
The tension in these NIDS records really peaks with this one specific, highly cinematic event. During their very first month, a researcher was stationed overnight out in a northwest field, looking through a thermal scope. At exactly 2:14 a.m., he radioed base camp. He reported a large animal out by the tree line just watching him. He described it as bigger than a horse, but with eyes that reflected light in a way no natural animal's eyes ever should.
When command told him to photograph it, his camera mysteriously and completely failed.
The base team ordered him to hold his position. What followed was a solid 40 seconds of dead, agonizing silence. And then he radioed back this chilling final transmission. It's gone. It didn't walk away. It's just gone. He packed his bags, resigned from the investigation the very next morning, and his file was closed forever. To this day, he has never spoken publicly about what he saw out there.
Part 4. Modern Scientific Scrutiny. After the Bigelow era wrapped up, the property transitioned into this whole new phase of hyper-advanced, military-grade observation. In 2016, Adantium Real Estate, a company with documented ties to the Department of Defense, bought the ranch. Investigated by PhD-level scientists and aerospace engineers, this modern era has recorded some truly mind-bending data. We're talking documented anomalous radiation spikes and completely unexplained magnetic disturbances in the soil. Then, on the night of September 2, 2021, highly credentialed observers witnessed a completely silent triangular aerial craft. Based on their trajectory calculations, this thing was moving at over 3,000 miles per hour. That is a capability no publicly acknowledged aircraft possesses.
The lead investigator for this modern team is Dr. Travis Taylor. Now, he's an optical scientist and a defense contractor, so he definitely does not throw around the word impossible lightly. During a particularly highly active period out on the ranch, he was caught off-camera in some behind-the-scenes footage trying to summarize the terrifying sentience they seem to be dealing with. He plainly stated, "It knows we are here. It is aware of us watching it, and I think it finds that interesting."
Part 5. The Ancient Ute Warning.
But to truly grasp the sheer futility of all this modern science, we really have to loop back to the ancient context surrounding this land. We need to be careful to distinguish the cultural lore here. See, in Navajo tradition, a Skinwalker is a human being who achieved dark supernatural power through profound evil. But the Ute people of the Uinta Basin describe something entirely different. In Ute tradition, the entity inhabiting this land is not some corrupted human shapeshifter. It is pre-human. It's something older than humanity entirely, something that was there long before people ever arrived and will be there long after.
And Ute elders definitely don't speak of this casually. When they were consulted during that 1997 Bigelow investigation, one elder offered this profoundly unsettling reframing to the researchers. He told them, "You are studying the wrong question. You are asking what it is. You should be asking why it is still here." Let that sink in. That is a question that, to this day, remains entirely unanswered.
The Ute people backed up this belief with literal centuries of action. They never moved onto the valley floor where Skinwalker Ranch sits, not once in recorded history. They traveled north, they traveled south, they hunted in the surrounding hills, but they left that specific patch of ground entirely alone. They didn't need thermal scopes or motion cameras or defense contractors to understand the land. They simply recognized the presence of something ancient, something incredibly patient, and something intensely aware. They recognized that when something is that old and that aware of you watching it, the only reasonable response is to just walk the other way. Which leaves us with this final, provocative thought to wrap up our explainer today. If you found yourself out on that basin, standing under that endless night sky, feeling that heavy, storm-like pressure in the air, would you know when to turn back?